Hello, everyone. Chris Schneck here at Grace Technologies. I just wanted to say how excited I am that you're joining us here this morning. Today, we're going to be talking about our solutions, giving you a quick little overview of Grace as a whole, Grace Technologies, and then giving you some introductions of my coworker here, Nick Augustine, and myself. So I'm Chris Schneck. I've been with Grace Technologies now for a little over 4 years. I'll have my 5-year anniversary in April of next year, 2023. So that's a big milestone for me, five whole years at the Grace Technologies. So I am our business development manager. I lead a team here for domestic lead gen follow-up. I also manage some territories outside of the US. So I also handle Europe, Middle East, and Africa, along with some other varying countries as well that are kind of under my belt. And with me today, I have my coworker, Nick Augustine. Nick, if you want to give a quick intro.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I'm Nick Augustine. I came to Grace earlier this year in the summer to help develop the IIoT, the GraceSense side of the business. So I joined Chris's team, and we are here today to talk to you about all of our products from the GracePort, PESDs, and GraceSense products and how they can fit into your maintenance program and make things a little safer, smarter, and more productive for you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. So you might know Grace by a few different names. I'm actually using an abbreviated version as well, Grace, formerly known as Grace Engineered Products. We went through a name change about a couple of years ago, probably before your time. We also are known in the market by some folks as Port or GracePort. That is one of our product categories that we're going to be talking about today. However, our name truly is Grace Technologies. So, at a whole, Grace Technologies is making maintenance safer, smarter, and more productive. We are developing products that are sold on a global distribution level. I believe at this point we're at about 60 or so different countries outside of the US. Again, that ties into a lot of what I have to do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of virtual Zoom meetings. I can't always be at every spot at any given time, so Zoom is by far my best friend. But Nick touched on this, Grace, and you'll hear this a lot throughout the webinar here today. Grace Technologies is making maintenance safer, smarter, and more productive. And we believe as a whole, a part of our values, that a reliable plant is a safe plant, and a safe plant is a profitable plant. And so we want, obviously to maximize that productivity within an industrial environment and make sure that we are providing solutions that optimize your electrical safety program. And that again ties back to our core values of making maintenance safer, smarter, and more productive. On top of that, we are developing intuitive solutions for a wide variety of applications and challenges that you and our customers are facing on a day-to-day basis, whether that's interacting with live voltage, connecting or trying to perform data access with a PLC or an electrical control cabinet, or even monitoring your equipment health, whether that be through vibration, temperature, pressure, strain, current, a multitude of different ways, right? So we are developing intuitive solutions that fit your common solutions and applications so that we can help solve some problems for you.
And as we get into this, Chris and I are trying a new format today. So this is going to be more of a live discussion. We want to involve people that are watching the webinar with us. So we do have some poll questions that we're going to put out, and we're going to address those throughout our talk today. But the first one is trying to get to know who's in the audience with us and who we're talking to. So can you tell us in the questions what best describes your current position, whether you're an end user at a facility that's going to possibly be using this equipment, whether you're a system integrator, OEM that's looking at including this on your equipment, or whether you're here for information gathering or any other reason and are just looking to know what's available on the market and how to best approach a safe, productive maintenance program.
We'll give you maybe about a minute or two just to answer this question.
What are you expecting? End users?
I probably imagine some end users. I think that a lot of these webinars and trainings are for information gathering as well.
Yeah, we have a big network of safety-oriented system integrators and consultants.
Absolutely.
So I imagine that's going to be a lot of our crowd as well.
Yeah, you might be presented with a problem that you need to try to find a solution for, right? Like a customer of yours is wanting to interact with voltage in a safer, more efficient way. You know, what is available on the market? You might not know. So ultimately, that's going to help us drive some of these discussions and just make sure that we touch on some key talking points based on our audience.
Yep, and we have with us here Nick Schultz from our marketing. So if you hear him chime up, he's going to be relaying some of that information to us as we go as well.
So you guys are right. It's 31% end users, 16% system integrators, OEMs, 18% sales and distribution, and then 35% of people are here just for training or just gathering some information.
Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of what we thought, which
That's
falls in line. Yeah, that is a good spread. I'm excited. It sounds like we have quite a few different folks from different avenues of the sales process here. So I hope that we touch on a few different things that you guys can take away from these discussions that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for spending your time with us. So I think we're going to start off with the permanent electrical safety devices, our GracePESDs.
Yeah, so before we dive into the PESDs, I think we do have a couple more poll questions.
All right.
I think that this is going to help drive the understanding of where you're at with your electrical safety program, how intimate you are with that, and if you feel your electrical safety program is compliant current state right now.
All right, so we have this one. So does your company have an electrical safety program?
You'd be shocked. I know that we have a lot of conversations with folks on a day-to-day basis, but there are a lot of folks that aren't really sure whether or not they have an electrical safety program. And on top of that, if they do, the documentation is not where it needs to be, and they're not sure if they're compliant to the safety standards that are on the market today. So great question to have. We hope that through these discussions that we're going to have today, that maybe you'll understand some different solutions that are on the market to help enhance your safety and compliance.
All right, how are we looking on responses, Nick? Ready for?
65% say yes, they do, 35% no.
Okay.
All right, that's about in line with what we've had in previous ones when Andy's done discussions like this.
Yeah, yep.
All right, and then
so I think we have one more poll question.
All right, so for those of you that do have an electrical safety program, do you believe your company is in compliance? So you want to go into any details on that? What would you be looking for there?
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at the electrical safety standards outlined within NFPA 70E, the documentation required, the refresh that is required as well on a regular cadence. I don't want to assume anything, but I do know that on a yearly basis, I think that there's some documentation that needs to be updated regularly, just, you know, standard processes, procedures, and making sure that there's proper training in place at the facility as well. So that's kind of what we're looking for from a compliance perspective.
All right.
So they can't hear me when I give these, so repeat them when I give them to you. So let them know the last one was 65% have an electrical safety program.
All right, and I just found out you guys can't actually hear Nick. So the answer to the last one, there was 65% of our viewers said they did have an electrical safety program, and 35% said they do not.
So this one, are they in compliance? 63% say yes.
And of those, the ones that, the 65% that have an electrical safety program, 63% of them say they believe their company is in compliance.
Okay, pretty consistent then across the board.
All right, so we're here to help show some ways to stay in compliance, to reduce that non-compliance, make things a little safer, smarter, and more productive, as our theme is going to be for the day. So, want to jump into our new product, the Check Bolt?
Yeah, so quickly, our permanent electrical safety devices, for folks that don't know, you know, just kind of setting the stage, right? So permanent electrical safety devices have seen up to a 75% decrease in lockout tagout, time spent locking and taking out your equipment, as it relates to the actual procedure itself, as it ties to your electrical safety program. So our PESDs, like Nick mentioned, they improve, you know, your compliance to NFPA 70E, OSHA requirements, and different standards on the market today. And with regards to actually performing an absence of voltage test, we have some solutions that provide an alternative to opening up your enclosure door and kind of exposing yourself to that incident energy. So a lot of you might be faced with needing to lock and take out your particular piece of equipment. That entails suiting up in high cal PPE, opening up the enclosure door, and testing to ensure whether or not voltage is present. And so there's a lot of inherent risk involved with that. So with our permanent electrical safety devices, we're looking at reducing injuries, electrical workplace injuries, fatalities, downtime, costly downtime expenses, and OSHA violations or citations. So ultimately, that's where our PESDs come into play. They're permanently mounted on the outside of your electrical enclosure. They're tapped in parallel to your source voltage, and they provide an alternative, a safer alternative to using a adequately rated portable test instrument for testing and verifying both presence and absence of voltage.
Yeah, that's the key question, right? Is there voltage? Before we
Correct.
get in here, is there voltage? So these products are going to be, we are going to start with the check volt, but we'll go over a few different versions of what we have available. But these are going to answer that question. Is there voltage, and is this safe to continue working on?
So the newest product that we wanted to talk to you all about today is our check volt. The check volt solution combines, it may look familiar, but it actually combines our dual redundant LEDs from our voltage indicator, and it combines it with our contact tester safe test point device. The great thing about this solution is it's all in one easy to use product. It meets the standard within NFPA 70E, no exceptions. So the check volt mitigates arc flash and shock hazard, and it enhances your compliance to NFPA 70E. And the great thing about this solution is it uses a simple 30 millimeter hole punch knockout. So Greenlee makes a standard hole punch that you can purchase. I believe it's on the market ready to go. Make a simple 30 mil push button knockout on the outside of your enclosure, and then wire this component into your actual piece of equipment in and of itself. So the check volt product, if you want to hold that for me.
Oh, we're good.
So the check volt product saves time. It reduces on average, you'll see about a 35 to 40 minute reduction in time spent locking and tagging out your equipment. On top of that, the device is UL listed up to 1,000 volts AC and DC. So it usually fits those low voltage applications, 480 volt 3-phase. We've also seen some single phase applications as well. So it's really not specific to single or 3-phase. On top of that, the device usually pays for itself in about 2 to 3 lockout tagout procedures. So in terms of cost, it's a very cost-effective solution.
Yeah. Oh, compared to putting a whole high cal suit on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, locking out. Yep, suiting up in the high cal PPE requirements, and then opening up the enclosure door, exposing yourself to that incident energy and that risk. Really, it's a no-brainer from a kind of an alternative solution.
Yeah, especially on some environments, you don't want that door open. You don't want your environment in your facility getting inside that cabinet. I'd like to keep that a little cleaner.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so some of the other added benefits of the check volt device in and of itself. So this is a direct reflection of OSHA's Office of Regulatory Analysis. So every dollar invested, you can expect every dollar invested in safety and health programs, you can expect a return of $4 to $6. And that's pulled directly from OSHA, the regulatory analysis. So really making that initial investment, whether it's a capital expense or just a simple low kind of budgetary expense from an operating expense, obviously, looking for an alternative, this is a great solution to fit that safety requirement.
Absolutely. I know we talk a lot on the productivity you can get in the single lockout tagout and using these products, and it does make your mental health a lot easier, your day a lot more comfortable as you're using these products as opposed to some of the other ways we've seen people measure voltage or test for absence of voltage. But ideally, you do want to keep in mind that these are preventing accidents that are a lot bigger of an issue if safety isn't realized inside your facility, because you're not just experiencing longer downtime, you're experiencing potential injuries, potential lost time, potential death if it's the worst case scenario. And those are all things that these products, we're aware that's what we're getting these out in the market for. We want your operations to be safer. We get that people get behind, they get rushed, especially when money's going out the window, when the machine's down, there's 8 people hollering to get it back up. You're moving fast. We need redundancy, we need safety. So that's a big focus on these products. So that's why they exist. There's nothing groundbreakingly crazy about them, but they're common sense. They make safe, and they make you safer and smarter throughout your day.
Absolutely. So that kind of ties in as well to specific applications. So I have a lot of conversations with you all on a regular basis, right? So I've seen these devices installed on local disconnects, on like the line or load side, electrical control cabinets, variable frequency drives. Nick, I know that you have a specific application that you've worked on with friction welders.
Yeah, we had one customer that as they were working on a friction welder, they'd flip the disconnect, and occasionally they'd still get shocked when they were going inside performing maintenance on that equipment. And what they realized when they installed our electrical safety devices was that they had residual voltage in there. They had electricity that was not leaving the system for 8 to 10 seconds. So they were standing around what felt like a long time as you're working and someone's waiting for you to tell them that the machine's clear, good to go. They open up that door and 8 to 10 seconds later, there's still risk of shock in there.
Yeah.
So that's when you do that, you see our lights that are blinking. We can cut back to this camera. You'll see those lights blink. And if they take another 6, 7 seconds, it's because you have equipment in there that's not dissipating energy. And that's very good to know. You can learn about your equipment by being able to visually see whether or not voltage is present.
Absolutely. And so that kind of ties into the actual product itself, right? So on that variable frequency drive, very well, there could be residual stored electrical energy. So with this device, with the dual redundant LEDs that are built into the component itself, they allow for you to visualize that stored release electrical energy and ensure that there is no voltage present. And then on top of that, you can also use an adequately rated portable test instrument and physically test each phase conductor, phase to phase and phase to ground, for absence of voltage testing. Now, again, there's a little bit more involved with the live dead live test. We actually take it a step further, where we suggest testing your meter to a known voltage source, testing it live at the actual device itself, isolating the power, flipping the disconnect switch, testing it dead at the actual device itself, and then testing again your meter to a known voltage source. So that is what we call a dead live test. Again, associating that back to NFPA 70E and enhancing that compliance. Overall, we're very excited about this solution. The fit form of it, reduces space consumption quite drastically from some of our other solutions that we offer on the market today. On top of that, not only is this device UL listed up to 1,000 volts, but it carries UL type 12, 4, 4X, 13. It also carries IP66 ratings and IP69 ratings. I do believe that this is the first permanent electrical safety device that is IP69 rated.
Absolutely. And it expands the customer base that's able to use this product. So
absolutely. And on top of that, it's also rated Cat 3 up to 1,000 volts and then Cat 4 up to 600 volts. So depending upon where you guys decide to install this product off of that incoming utility power feed, we give you that ability because of that further Cat rating that we carry with this solution.
And you guys, at the end of this webinar, we will have a link available. If you want to request a demo of these products, you're able to. The check volt, we have a version where we'll have a plug attached to the end of it. So if you want a version of the check volt where you can plug it into the wall, and likely what this one is doing, and display it, that is what that's why the ground's going. But you'll be able to get that, display it to people and show how it works the same way we're doing. So if you need to get more buy-in or take it and get some approval from some other engineers or electricians that you work with. Otherwise, if you do have ability to get it installed and you want to evaluate it on your equipment and see the impact it makes, we can send it to you without the plug on it, just a standard way you'd purchase it. So you don't have to go through the hassle of removing that plug in so that they don't have to put a plug on it back in the back.
Yep.
Save everyone a little time.
Yeah, so that's our new check volt. We actually launched that at Automation Fair earlier this year, back in November. That was actually in Chicago. Something that I neglected to mention kind of in the introduction of Grace. We are a Rockwell technology partner. We have been for over 20 years now.
Yeah, 23.
23 years. So, obviously work with us, work with Nick, myself. We would love to work with you all on gathering up a demo on any of the products that we talk about here today. So moving on from the check volt solution, we actually also launched our new 1000 volt safe test point device. This is a great solution that allows electrically qualified workers an alternative to use an adequately rated portable test instrument, keep their enclosure door closed, and again, test and verify that whether they have power present or that they've truly isolated the power or perform an absence of voltage test. So why don't we pop that up and show them and give them a quick little visual of the 1K, the 1000 volt safe test point device.
All right, we got that product there. So this is gonna look very similar to the check volt. You won't have the dual redundant lights, but if what you need is the ability to test for absence of voltage in your in equipment up to 1000 volts, this is what's gonna take care of that for you. So it'll save you, it'll be a lower cost, and these models are able to be combined in a combo kit with our voltage indicator. And that was the predecessor to the check volt, is to have two pieces of equipment, one where you could test and another one sitting next to it where you'd have the voltage indicator.
And so Nick touched on this a little bit, right? So usually for arc flash mitigation or shock hazard mitigation, externally mounted as well, similar to a lot of our other permanent electrical safety devices. This device here actually carries an IP2X rating. So it's UL touch safe rated up to 600 volts AC or DC, as it does have built-in high impedance. On the 1000 volt version, I do believe it's 164 kilo ohm resistors. So using a voltmeter or a multimeter, you'll get about a 2% reading, plus or minus, right, on the voltage there. The idea is, again, that because this is externally mounted and tapped and wired in parallel to your source voltage, it's giving you an alternative from opening up that enclosure door, exposing yourself to that arc flash and shock hazard, keeping that enclosure door closed, testing with a meter for both presence and absence of voltage.
And this kind of looking identical, it installs exactly the same way, the same exact size.
Yep, 30 mil push button knockout, very easy to install. Like I mentioned before, Greenlee makes a hole punch that is available on the market. So if you wanted to make a quick little hole punch on your enclosure, very quick and easy to install. I think I've been quoted 20 to 30 minutes to install some of our electrical safety devices. So really, the time spent installing these is very minimal. It won't impact your production for very long, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're going for. The big focus is making our products easier and easier to use. And a lot of the feedback we get is they're great, but make them easier to install, make them easier for us to use them. So we've been focusing on making the cutouts a little more standard, things like making everything standard 30 mil knockout. So as easy as possible to install, because people want to use them. They just want us to make them easy to use. So
absolutely, absolutely. And so what we found on this as well, on average, 63% of our users of electrical safety devices were able to find faulty or failed isolators. On top of that, an average of 31% of users had fewer accidents leveraging our permanent electrical safety devices, and 15% of users saw a reduction of 15% of near misses as well. So from a safety perspective, not exposing your workers to electrical energy, really it makes sense.
Yeah, you said 2/3 almost.
Almost 2/3, 63%.
Found faulty equipment.
Absolutely. Faulty isolators, yeah.
That's insane.
And again, that ties back to some of the applications that you might be thinking to yourselves, what am I getting in and out of most frequently? Usually it's an electrical cabinet that's feeding power to some type of production equipment, and you need to isolate the power to ensure that you're not working on live equipment.
Yeah.
What better way to do that on the outside of your enclosure and keeping the enclosure door closed?
Yeah, I mean, I better find out when the lights keep flashing than sticking my hand in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is our new 1000 volt check volt device. As Nick mentioned as well, reach out to us if this is a product that kind of piques your interest or something that you want to test out or trial within your facility.
All right, and what we have next is going to be our combination style, so the knockout voltage test station. So this was a recent update along those lines of making things easier to use. Our feedback from our voltage test station was that we wanted a little bit easier, not a square cutout, easier to mount, quicker, less downtime to get the solution in place. So these install with just two 30 mil knockouts and then 4 set screws around the edge. We ship a magnetic template with it that you see on the bottom there. So you can just slap that up right where you need it to go, and you have your measurements, and you can get your knockouts in and have the equipment back up and running just a few minutes.
And so the great thing about the knockout voltage test station, right, as Nick mentioned, so all that's required is the 2 push button knockouts and then 4 set screws to actually mount the actual housing onto your enclosure. So we also developed something within this brand of product. It's called our EZ upgrade. Now I know that there are some end users and system integrators that probably leverage one or some of our products already. More than likely, it's a combination of just a single voltage indicator unit that illuminates for the presence of voltage, or there might be some safe test points as well. The EZ upgrade will allow you to take that standalone unit and upgrade it into our voltage test station, or our knockout voltage test station. So in essence, it gives you the best of both worlds. It'll give you that environmentally rated housing. Those housings carry UL type 12, 4, and 4X. And then it allows you to combine that existing product that you have with one of our new PESDs, whether it be a safe test point device, a check volt, a voltage indicator. We're looking for ways to make your job easier if you're looking to upgrade some of your existing equipment with our solutions.
Yes, and I got out of the way. You can kind of see it back here. So if you have an existing voltage indicator, you're just going to mount the same thing. So it'll go right around it, and you'll just add to it, and it kind of extend that platform out. But a lot of OEMs do include our R3W, that voltage indicator. So if you buy an OEM piece of equipment and you want to add the ability to test it for absence of voltage, this is an option for you. Likewise, if you just want to remove the R3W voltage indicator, the new check volt fits in the same size hole. So you don't have to worry about doing a whole new enclosure if space is an issue. Then you can go to the check volt, and that you can just swap that product out and add that ability to test for absence of voltage.
Absolutely, absolutely. So like I said, we're making maintenance safer, smarter, and more productive. We're doing that by providing an alternative to interacting with live voltage. And again, I want to reiterate a point that I feel like people just don't understand. So on average, users of permanent electrical safety devices have seen a 75% reduction in time spent locking and tagging out or performing that procedure in their facility. So again, at the end of the day, we're trying to save lives. That's really at the core of Grace Technologies. And we're trying to make your electrical safety program as compliant as it possibly can be, especially when we're talking about interacting with live voltage.
Mm-hmm. It's just a happy side effect of saving lives is that you get a lot more productivity out of it as well.
Absolutely. It's a win-win for sure.
All right. Do we have any more poll questions that we want to?
Yeah. So kind of wrapping up our permanent electrical safety devices, we are going to jump into our GracePort product, our panel interface connectors. Before we do that, I believe we have a couple more poll questions for the team. We'd like to just ask those and make sure that we get a feel for the understanding of our GracePort product.
So first one, does your company need to troubleshoot and program programmable logic controllers, PLCs, on a regular basis? So are you in your position, or is anyone in your company accessing PLCs or HMIs and programming?
So one thing I've seen, I find interesting, right, is a lot of facilities usually have a network that's outfitted already that you can just kind of tap into at a central location.
Mm-hmm.
However, what I found is that there are still use cases where they physically need to be at that asset. So that's, ultimately kind of something to think about, right? Maybe you're already outfitted with Ethernet, and you have like a central hub where you're accessing, multiple enclosures from a central location. If you still need to access a panel at that floor level, the GracePort's really going to be beneficial in those situations for sure.
Absolutely. That's how Grace started back in, was it 91?
Yep, early 90s, yeah.
Everyone knows that safety manager that says you're not opening up that cabinet. So they had to come up with a way to access the PLC and program it without opening up the door. And GracePort was born. And they realized how common sense of a solution that was. And 30 years later, here we are. So still making the same common sense products, same things that make things safer, smarter, and more productive for you.
61% said yes.
61% of you watching are accessing PLCs on a regular basis. So while you're doing that, I believe the next follow-up question is, are you opening up cabinets, or where are those PLCs located? Something. do you need to wait for an electrician to perform lockout tagout before opening PLC's enclosure doors? So that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
Especially depending on where that's
Time-consuming.
located.
Yeah, absolutely. Time spent making sure that you have the proper electrically qualified worker, ensuring that you've isolated the power, and then going in and performing some of that data access and programming. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have long history with PLC manufacturing, and a lot of focus is spent on making it as easy as possible to go up and do quick updates.
Yeah.
But if it takes you 40 minutes to get in there and do your quick update, it's not a quick update.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
So 51% said yes, they do. 49% must be using GracePorts already.
So 51% are waiting for an electrician to perform a lockout tagout. 51%. 49%, Nick says, are already using GracePorts. They're not waiting. So that's a large number.
Absolutely.
So what we have available for GracePort is going to be of interest for 51% of you, because unless you're already using GracePort and you just didn't clarify that in there. But what we have, the newest innovation from our GracePort side, it includes a USB-C charging component. And I'll slam that over there. So that is our C1 version, and it has a USB-C and a USB-A. This is our C2 version, a little slimmer profile, and it only has a USB-C. So, and if you turn those sideways, you can see what I mean by the profile on them. But that is a new innovation that got a lot of hype during October when we were doing cybersecurity focus. And one of the convenient things about this charging component is that it is only a powered connection. There's no data connection involved. So with the focus on cybersecurity, with the companies that don't want operators to be getting into their equipment and potentially, whether maliciously or not, unintentionally, going in and exchanging malware or gathering data or just potentially harming their system. So again, like you said, everyone has their system. Most programmers I know don't like people plugging into their So this gives you the ability to allow that your equipment to charge, whether it be a computer that you want to replace an outlet on so people quit plugging in vacuums, whether you want to add a place to charge your phone while you're commissioning your equipment. There's been a lot of different use cases that we can cover while these, but overall on the GracePort, I kind of wanted to touch before we dive too deep into anything specific, what we have available, the range of products.
Yeah.
Like you said, we sell in 60 countries and they don't all use the same outlets, same plugs.
Great question. So as I mentioned before, I do manage some territories outside of the US, right? So we have international power options that are available across the globe. We also can source components as well. So if you can't find something in our catalog, give us a call, work with us. More than likely, we can source something for you. Now, again, adding maybe a little bit of time to the lead time. The great thing about these solutions is we usually build and ship within 2 to 3 days. And in some instances, we can ship same day. A lot of these are manufactured here in Davenport, Iowa. So, supporting your kind of new initiatives, we support custom logos, custom text. Really, we want to make it fit your specific application requirement and make sure that at the end of the day, you're happy with the product that we're offering to you.
Yeah, there's over 20,000 unique part numbers
20,000
for that one product line, for the GracePort product line.
Yeah. I feel like when I started, we were at like 15.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to see over the course of a few years, even, the additional 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 different configurations that are available.
Yeah, well, we added 100 more as soon as the USB-C came out because everyone wanted to add it to what they're already using. All of a sudden, there's 800 new part numbers.
I want to ask you, since you said something about no power being present, right? So,
or no data or what?
So that means that we're not bringing 120 volts to the cabinet door. Is that right?
So what we've seen some people switch over to is our standard programming port is what I call it, but it involves a GFI outlet, Ethernet port, and sometimes a circuit breaker, sometimes not. But to simplify that and reduce the amount of area that's required for that port, and to prevent people from plugging in unauthorized equipment. And there's some interesting conversations. Hammer drills, vacuum cleaners came up so many more times than I expected it to. But we've seen people switch over to using USB-C and an Ethernet port, and it makes your enclosure a lot smaller going from something this size to something barely bigger than this is the
So you'll see the
difference
cost
there.
savings there as well.
Cost savings, space savings,
Space consumption, yep.
and then, but your ability that you don't have unauthorized equipment being plugged in.
Absolutely.
And if someone does plug their phone into it to charge or a piece of equipment, there's no risk of anything else happening there. It's only connecting to a 24-volt power supply. It defaults a 5-volt output, but if whatever you're plugging in can charge faster, it'll scale up and charge appropriately. So it's an intelligent piece of equipment. And but the GracePorts in general, there's a lot that you can add to them. So if you still have like a display port connection, or you need a banana jack, or any weird old serial thing that you find some Bristol Babcock RTU that you need to connect to,
Yep.
It's been sitting somewhere covered in dust since '82. We can call us up. We probably have something that we can get whipped together for you.
Yep. Not only can we get it whipped together for you, we can get it out in 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, that's insane.
Very, very quick turnaround. Absolutely.
They make them about 50 feet that way.
So that is our new USB-C. We also have a newer GracePort as well. It's called our IP68 GracePort connector. These are generally acting as simple pass-throughs. So Nick, I'll let you kind of get that up there.
These little guys, what we're talking about.
Yeah, so these are our little IP68 connectors. You can see here they're outfitted with Ethernet and USB. The great thing about this solution here is that they do just require a 22, I believe it's a 22.5 mil hole punch knockout. So just a small little circular punch, giving you the ability to quickly and easily access through Ethernet, USB, while still maintaining that IP68 rating as a whole. Have you seen is that generally what you've seen when you've had conversations on the IP68, just kind of acting as a quick, easy pass through?
Yes, it's mostly a lot of our GracePort customers that have an application where they don't want the entire GracePort will sometimes use these to just do little quick connectors. So that's where I see them popular. We sell them, did you mention we sell them in packs of 5? They're lower cost. So they do, a lot of people just like having them on hand for when you don't need the entire programming port and someone just needs an Ethernet port added to something. That's a very quick solution to be able to do that.
Very cost effective. Like Nick mentioned, they do come in packs of 5. So you'll get kind of a couple of different options. We have the bulkhead option that we were showing you just now. We also offer a cable version as well. So if you wanted to have the physical cable from the Ethernet or the USB port, we offer that as well.
Absolutely. These are nice little products to know about.
Awesome. So we touched on a few key points on the GracePort product. Just want to reiterate, 20,000 unique different configurations. Lead time is very quick and easy, 2 to 3 days generally to build something out and ship it out to you. On top of that, we support custom logos, custom text, custom components to a degree, right? But we want to make this as quick and easy and seamless of a process for you to purchase these solutions and get them rolled out into your facility, whether that be for interacting with PLCs, control cabinets, drives, whatever it might be. That's what we're aiming for.
It's funny that you say to a degree. I'm pretty sure you're the one that gets pushed back on that we can't keep changing all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So what I found internationally is that there are just a lot of different intricacies when it comes to voltage and equipment. They have different sets of standards. So really, that's kind of where I see some of that customization. So something to consider as well. A lot of these solutions are deployed internationally. So if you're thinking about some international applications, give me a call. I'd be more than willing to work with you and we can get something configured for you.
Absolutely. And it's, again, the crazy part is if you come up with something that we've never done, it only adds an hour, maybe 2 if we're near lunch.
Yeah,
onto the lead time. We can get these things done. We've really streamlined the process. So 30 years gets you some experience doing this.
Yeah, hopefully. So wrapping up the GracePort product, again, I just want to reiterate one key point and then we'll kind of move along. A lot of what we showed you today, we have different variations of environmental ratings. The product that we showed you generally will fall within the UL type 12 or our 4X rating. We also have UL type 1, 13, 3R, and then we also offer a couple of different stainless steel options as well. So if your facility needed that stainless steel, we also offer stainless steel options as well.
Awesome.
So moving from the GracePort product, our panel interface connectors, we are going to slowly transition into the GraceSense. the predictive maintenance family of products. I do believe we have a couple of poll questions before we dive in that we'd like to ask the audience.
All right, first one, is your company's current maintenance program on a preventative or reactive maintenance plan? So do you believe that you are reacting with your maintenance, or are you preventing downtime and scheduling that out appropriately?
We're getting a lot of questions. Great, great. Can you remind me we'll do a Q&A once you guys wrap up?
All right, and Nick tells me that we are getting a lot of questions, which I am very happy to hear. So we will do a Q&A at the end to address some of those. So feel free to get those in there. Nick's going to keep them sorted for us. Then we'll get some questions answered. But as we get into the GraceSense, have people answered all that, Nick? Or all right, so we'll move on to the next one, and then I'll ramble a bit.
64% are on a preventative plan, 36% reactive.
64% believe they're on a
Wow.
preventative maintenance plan right now.
That kind of surprises me a little bit.
I hope it's true. That's
I hope it's true too.
It's fantastic to hear if it is. That's definitely the way we want our customer base to go, and I'm very glad that's the customers we have in here. That's the viewership we have. That's very intelligent companies that they're watching us. So for any of those that we're going to get into, whether these can benefit or whether you guys are looking to get into IIoT but don't have a solid foot in the door yet. We do have, we changed our company name. We went from Grace Engineered Products to Grace Technologies, and we're expanding our staff and operations to really develop this IIoT side of business. And it's gotten some really good feedback across the industry. So
absolutely,
we want to talk to you about what you can do with Grace Technologies to get into that. So
we have one more poll question here,
which is, are you concerned about a lack of preparedness and unplanned downtime? So with this, we're looking for everyone there, whether you have predictive or reactive maintenance, but are you concerned about a lack of preparedness and unplanned downtime?
that kind of ties back to some of that reactive maintenance, right? That's generally where a lot of electrical injuries occur. You might be cutting corners to get things back up and running. Somebody might be yelling at you. You know, we're spending a lot of money on unplanned downtime. So really that's kind of the focus of the GraceSense family of products.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So how's our responses looking on that? 86% are concerned. I wonder how many of that is just employee concerns.
It probably is, unfortunately.
Yeah, the good help, that's a lot of our conversations are around that, is that we'd like more electricians, we'd like more qualified people in these positions. But again, one of the benefits of preparing and doing a predictive maintenance is that you can handle those operations with fewer people. So appropriately scheduling these things out, not reacting and not jumping up at the last minute is going to help you schedule things out and alleviate a lot of those concerns.
Yeah, that kind of comes into play with our GraceSense predictive maintenance family of products. So ultimately, companies are looking for a predictive maintenance system that can elevate your current maintenance program, you know, have better insights, maintenance strategy, and improve safety. The GraceSense solution as a whole provides advanced data analytics, you know, that is provided to asset managers with deep insights to machine health to effectively prioritize resources and maximize the value of their maintenance spend. So that is what we found on the market today. That's why we had that poll question about reactive versus preventative or predictive maintenance. What we found is that a lot of folks that we interact with are reacting to a downtime incident. You know, something went down, they don't know why. Maybe it was a loose bearing or, you know, something that overheated, and they're reacting, right? They're trying to get their equipment as fast back up running as soon as possible. And so we're trying to take a step back, reduce that reactive maintenance and reduce injuries that occur because of reactive maintenance. I think it's some statistic, it was 70% of injuries occur during reactive maintenance. I mean, mind-boggling. If we could just chip away at that, not only are we helping to save lives, but we're making things more efficient. We're increasing safety, we're increasing productivity, we're reducing downtime. That's ultimately kind of the added value and the proposition of the GraceSense predictive maintenance family of products.
Yeah, and that's where my passion comes from for the IIoT stuff, is that everybody, you can have the most intelligent, smartest, safest person in the world day in, day out, but everyone gets distracted. You get a task going. I came from the fire department where you either get tunnel vision or you're working last minute, and you get distracted. You're comfortable with the equipment. You've been around for 10, 15 years, but with the work that we're doing, with the electrical work, it takes 1 second, 2 seconds to really screw up your life, your day, your downtime, whatever, but your life. If you make the wrong move, and when you're reacting, when you're trying to get machines back up and running, when you're trying to stop that flood of just downtime going out, all the money being lost, you're moving fast, and that's when the mistakes happen. So being able to use things like our vibration and temperature nodes to find information before you're going to realize it with the human eye, by walking by, hearing something sounding weird or feeling hotter
It's almost
than normal.
too late. It's almost too late at that point.
For some equipment, it is way too late.
Yeah.
So, but being able to schedule this out is going to alleviate a lot of that. You're going to be able to do it in a safer, more appropriate, level-headed response, and you're not going to be rushing. You're not going to be making those little mistakes.
Absolutely. So let's cut to the actual vibration and temperature node again. I want to just share what the actual device looks like. That way we can kind of give you some highlights of the solution, how it works, what it does, and make sure that we go over the solution with you. So this is our vibration and temperature node. The device itself has a triaxial accelerometer and also a surface RTD. So this will give you your 3-axis acceleration and surface temperature. As Nick mentioned, kind of scheduling out some of that maintenance. The great thing about this solution is that it's plug and placeable. So we have multiple mounting options: stud, fin, epoxy, magnetic mount. Now again, some of those mounting options range from a little more mobile to a little more permanent. But the idea is, right, that this is plug and placeable on key assets within your facility. We're talking pumps, motors, fans, drives, conveyors, critical pieces of equipment that are optimal, key to your production within your facility. This solution will continually monitor that vibration and temperature on your asset. It will collect that data. The way that it actually communicates is over a Zigbee compatible RF protocol. So gives it about a 30-meter line of sight communication to our larger gateway, our solution architecture for accessing the data. Mm-hmm. And then from there's a couple of different ways of accessing that data as well.
All right, and I know if you let me and Chris do this, we are going to talk about GraceSense for the next 2 hours. So we got about 15 minutes left. So we do have starter kits for this, and me and Chris are available to talk about any of these products if you have any further questions. And it is worth a conversation if you're interested in this. At least, like we said, that know what's on the market and be able to make the best educated decision. But along that line, I wanted to get a little bit of our hotspot monitor out there for people to be in front of as well. What? Oh, it's fluke mirror. All right. So, but our hotspot monitor is going to allow that same thing, that your equipment going down when you have the unplanned downtime, but it's a catastrophic failure when it's your electrical system, when it's a switch gear. And I just talked to someone yesterday, the first time since I've been at Grace, but called someone yesterday, and their project was delayed a week because a switch gear blew up. A bolt that was in a position where they couldn't monitor it, they couldn't investigate it for a few years, had gone uninvestigated, unchecked, and it blew up their switch gear.
Yep.
So things like our hotspot monitor are going to be able to be installed and monitor that, and better than an IR window, better than trying to check through
our thermography, yes, walking around scanning, right? Yeah.
So yeah, that equipment that's in place. It's part of the GraceSense, and it does the same thing. Is going to be able to really help you schedule that maintenance, and especially reacting. That is huge downtime. People,
absolutely.
There's probably injuries happening as a result of that. People rushing around trying to get everything back up and running.
So that kind of ties in nicely to the larger kind of how you access this data, right? I'm sure you're probably wondering, well, that's great. How do I access that data? So one way that we can actually access that data is Grace partnered or worked with Rockwell. Mm-hmm. We are a technology partner. So for over 20 years, we actually worked with Rockwell to develop an EDS add-on profile. So as I mentioned before, the vibration and temperature nodes are physically the devices that are out on your assets collecting that data. They send that data to our gateway, And through our gateway, you can access and add, Ethernet, Modbus, and then with that EDS add-on profile, have a seamless integration into Rockwell Studio 5000. So really, when it comes to that integration into a PLC or an HMI, we make it as seamless and easy as possible. And on top of that, I believe it's version 35 through Studio 5000 and Rockwell will come standard with our EDS add-on profile.
We're the first and only wireless condition monitoring software
Wow.
in Rockwell Studio 5000. So that's fantastic news. And that's really the focus of the company. That's the direction we're going. We're spearheading the IIoT. So if you guys, we have starter kits available for under $5,000 to really get your foot in the door, get some of these vibration temperature sensors, and start working towards having that predictive maintenance installed in your facility and seeing the benefits that it can provide for you. So a real low cost introduction into how to manage that type of maintenance facility.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So that is kind of at a high level, the GraceSense predictive maintenance family of product. Again, as Nick mentioned, trying to schedule out that maintenance, identify issues or anomalies before they turn into a downtime incident, providing data insights and analytics, making sure that you're notified of what's going on your equipment before it creates an issue within your facility. So that is the GraceSense predictive maintenance family of product. We hope you enjoyed the kind of time we spent with you all this afternoon or this morning. We're going to open it up. I think we do have a general Q&A. I think we have some questions that were populating in. So Nick and I will be happy to answer some of those questions.
All right. And like I said, you guys can't hear Nick Schultz. So I am going to repeat the things he says, and then we'll address those questions. So throw them at us.
Back to the check volt, its environmental rating. Is it dust tight? What about ignition proof?
The check volt, its environmental rating, is it dust tight and ignition proof?
Yeah, so it is dust tight. I am not familiar with ignition proof. If you're referring to kind of the way that it's wired into your enclosure, there is no additional arc risk with having our solution added to your enclosure. Not only is it built with a potted construction, but I did also mention that it is IP2X rated and touch safe rated, as it does have that built-in high impedance in the device itself. So I'll have to follow up with you on the ignition rating. I have not heard that at all. So that's new to me. But I do just want to reiterate, there is no additional arc flash risk, built with a potted construction, has built-in high impedance, and it is also touch safe rated as well. So absolutely.
Testing at the device require arc flash gear, and at what rating?
So we would recommend, the question was, does testing at the check volt device require arc flash gear, and what would be the rating as well associated with that? So great question. The actual check volt device, we would recommend following state and local electrical code and the processes and procedures outlined within your specific facility. What we have found is generally ambient PPE, hard hat, safety goggles, gloves, arc-rated gloves, and then arc-rated boots as well. So that would be generally ambient PPE. But again, we don't necessarily make that recommendation. We would want you to follow the policies and procedures outlined within your facility and state and local electrical code.
Yep. And if you don't have an electrical safety program, I know there's part of our crowd that did not have that. We do have consultants and advisors and an expert network that can help get that set up. So if that is something that you're interested in and getting some consulting on establishing an electrical safety program, you can reach out to us for that, and we will help with that as well.
On the IP68 GracePort, is it also UL type 4X?
All right, on the IP68 GracePort, these little pass-through connectors, are they also 4X?
So that's a great question. I know that the IP and UL have kind of different variations. If I remember right, UL type 4X is IP66. So I'll have to follow up with you. Offhand, I believe the answer is yes, because it has that IP68 rating, which is above the IP66 requirement. However, just to confirm that cross comparison between UL and IP, I would just like to follow up with you. That's a great question, but short answer, I believe, is yes. I'll just double check and verify for you.
After I install these products, does OSHA require that I certify them on the equipment by
So after you install our products, does OSHA require that we, what was that, verify it? If it's-
OSHA requires certification.
Does OSHA require certification after installing our products?
They've been installed.
That they've been installed correctly?
Sure. So OSHA doesn't endorse products. What I think might be coming up in a question is the warranty of your actual enclosure. Is it still within its warranty period, or is it an older piece of equipment? Generally, what we found is these are installed in older pieces of equipment. So again, doing a test but verify after installation of our GracePort product, we strongly recommend that just to ensure that it is functioning as intended and it's not creating any additional risk.
All right.
Do you sell your products directly or through distributors?
Do we sell direct or through distribution?
Nick, if you want to handle that.
We sell through distribution. We have a distribution network that's vast in over 60 countries, as Chris mentioned earlier. And if needed, you can get in touch with us. We can refer you back to distributors in your area. But yeah, we have a pretty vast network. So distribution is the short answer for that.
So on the GraceSense, the IIoT front, what if I have existing sensors? Can I connect them to the
Oh,
IIoT
that's a great question. If I have existing sensors in place, can I connect them to your GraceSense IIoT solution? Yes. Go ahead, expand on that one, Chris.
So the short answer is yes. Obviously, we would need to understand what existing sensors you already have. Our GraceSense predictive maintenance solution is very scalable. That is something that deviates somewhat from our standard offering. So you would just need to give us a call. We would need to work with you just to make sure that, one, the existing sensors can communicate with our hardware and our existing kind of offering, and ensure that they play nice, I guess is the right term that we would use. But yeah, more than likely we can make something work. Again, we would need to work with you hand in hand just to understand what you're already using, and then making sure that we kind of develop a roadmap offering that can fit your existing sensors.
Yeah, my favorite approach to IIoT is not to restrict anything. You want to be able to have the best solution on the market, not the best solution from the person you chose to choose that solution from. So by allowing that the other sensors, especially if they're already in place, to be involved in our system, we're not restricting you to only what we offer, only what we develop, and only what we think is important. If there's other information you're looking to grab, something else you need to accomplish, for most things, we're going to be able to. But if we can, we're going to bring that in so that you can use one whole system, because that's how this works effectively. You want all your information in one spot. You want to be able to gather that. You want everyone making decisions and actions off of educated information that everyone has access to. So
Absolutely.
that is the goal. So absolutely, you can get other sensors in, and you can reach out to me and Chris if you have questions about those.
On the USB-C GracePort, does it allow for data transfer or PLC communication?
So does the USB-C allow for data transfer or PLC communication? So we have other ports. This USB-C port that we had out today was power only, but there's 20,000 different part numbers, whether you want a bulkhead USB connection or a cabled one, or whatever you need to connect it to. Most likely we're going to have that, and if not, we'll make it in 2 hours.
Softball for you, because I want everyone else to know this too. Will this video be made available later?
Will this video be made available later?
Absolutely, yes, it will. And like Nick was saying as well, you can always reach out to the Grace team here. We're more than willing to work with you, whether it's offline, over the phone, virtually, maybe even something that warrants an in-person on-site discussion. But we're very flexible, and we're willing and able to work with you any way we can.
All right. Well, thank you guys for attending this. Merry Christmas. It's been a very fun, busy week for us here, but I'm very appreciative that you spent this time with us and chose to learn how to make your maintenance a little safer, smarter, and more productive. You got any final words for them?
Just wanted to say thank you as well. We really appreciate it. We'd love feedback as well. This is kind of a newer format for us here at Grace. We hope you enjoyed it. We kind of wanted to take a step back from some of that more formal presentation discussion, have it be a little more interactive as well. So we'd love that feedback. And again, thank you.
Yeah, request some samples if there's anything you're interested in. Well, we'll give you a phone call, go over them, and get something out for you.